Okay, we're up there. Should be maybe. Yeah. Oh. It's all working thus far. Happy Friday, everyone. Holly will be on in a minute. Just kicking this off a little early so I can do all of the sharing and things. How's everyone doing tonight? I hope everyone had as good of a day as myself. As you saw in the lead off, this is going to be a quick show. Had a long week working, and I want to go spend a little of this night off with Katie. But I hope everyone had a good week. Hope everything went great. Humana. And we want to talk tonight about the debate that just happened, and maybe thoughts and theories. And then Holly also has something else to share. So hopefully you guys will join her for that and get a feel for that. But getting all this sharing out of the way, and then we can kick it off as soon as she shows up. It's just a little bit of an early thing right now. But, and of course, we want all of you guys to jump on and share your thoughts with us. Share your, I don't know, your takeaways from the debate that happened. All takeaways are welcome. We want to hear everybody's thoughts and feelings on it. Even if, even if some people may not agree with you politically, I still think you should, get on here, tell us what you think. Yeah, sorry about this. Got a lot of buttons to push after we kick on. It sounds like Holly is here now. So we're going to pull her in.
So we're not kicked on yet, right? We're not live?
We're live right now.
Oh, we are?
Yeah, that way I can.
6.
Well, this way I can get the sharing done before 6.
Carson, we're live now. Start sharing. Stand by. I'm just going to make sure things are right on my angle.
I'm standing by. She's got it going. Whip her young producer into shape. But anyway, so got a few people in already. All right, everyone, how we doing? How's everything going? Adam says I'm the master debater. Oh, Adam, we definitely want to hear what you have to say about the debate, because Adam, for people who don't know, is kind of a local fun guy. He does the fun stuff. Your lighting in there looks great, Holly. She can't hear me right now.
I can hear you. It's just a natural sunlight.
It looks fantastic. It does.
Ew. I thought you were going to say I looked fantastic, and I was.
Oh, you do look fantastic as always.
New shirt, royal
blue. Nice. It's one of them. I don't know what they call them. High neck tank tops. What do girls call that?
It's a crop top that goes up to here, so you have to wear a high waist thing. But it represents my blue family, my law enforcement blue. I'm just suggesting something.
You're just suggesting something. Okay.
Who's all on with us?
I don't know. right now, Adam has made a comment. Um,
Oh, hey, Adam.
he says that I am the master debater.
Yeah, that's true. You are a master debater for sure.
Mm.
I wanted to tell you that Wednesday, I
Hmm.
went to an event. The Tooele County Chamber hosted an event that was so fun. We had a booth there, and so myself and our secretary Christina and Nicolene Peck's husband Spencer, who owns a plumbing company here locally. Do you know Spencer Peck?
I've met him. Yes.
And then Kevin Mucho. I call him Kevin Macho. I'm probably obliterating his name, but he's phenomenal. And it was way cool. It was at the Tooele Chamber called the Best of Tooele County. So you paid $5 and you got to have samples from different restaurants from the county. And in between our booth, which P booth, we're a member of the chamber, and space for us to invite candidates and voters. As you know, they're huge supporters of getting all the candidates together for right before an election, and they support business, small business here locally, which we love. And then as a member, we get to intermingle with businesses around the county. I get to hear from them, business owners, small business owners especially. And I got the honor to sit my booth in between Energy Solutions with Chris and Berna Sloan, who are dear, dear long-term friends of mine, who own their own real estate company here locally. And guess who else? And I brought you a present, Jared.
Oh, yeah. Who was there representing
It's
Cargill?
Blaine. And he
Blaine.
knows
Oh,
you, and he's
Blaine is
going to look you up. But I said, I have to get this black on black for Jared because it is so good looking. And that
that is
hat,
a good
good
looking
looking.
hat. Blaine said he was
So,
going to look me up.
yeah, I said, Jared is my producer and my co host on our show. And
Me
he's
and
like, I know Jared. He
yeah.
left and then he came back, and he was such a nice guy. Nicest
Blaine
guy.
is all right. So I'm going to give a shout out to Blaine. He's kind of our environmental guy. Blaine is secretly one of the coolest dudes you'll ever meet.
Oh, he really was a great,
He's
great guy.
he's in an orchestra. He won't tell you about this.
I
He
have to.
sings in a quartet.
I love
He
that.
yeah, he's just a coolest dude. Oh, you had to move
Hey,
Dwayne the Rock Johnson
I
out
had
of
to because times is tough, and I feel like we're all living on the Death Star, or
Mm.
you know.
Yeah,
Hi, Adam.
Blaine
I'm
is a
so
good
happy.
guy.
Thank you for tuning in. I'm just
So,
so happy.
but yeah. Yeah, you can read what Adam's saying there in the side, and I'll have to probably read what comes in on the other stuffs on my end. But anyways, so we were going to definitely talk about the debate. I kind of want to hear what people's thoughts are. What do they think? How do they think the debate went? What do they what are your
Well,
takeaways?
I can offer my takeaway, and I would like to mention that you put in the show notes that I was invited by Braver Angels, which they've invited you to previous events. Braver Angels is a national organization that represents all sides. So they're not Democrat, Republican, third party, independent. They try to represent all denominations and parties and everything. And they invited me to be on the Donald Trump panel tomorrow. They've chosen 6 people nationally, and myself and Trent, the former party chair,
Oh,
and your
my
cousin.
my cousin-in-law Trent.
Yeah, he is joining us as well. So, and out of the entire United States, there are 4 people from Utah that get to be part of this event. And so in the bio, if you would like, this is a Zoom event. If you would like to participate as a viewer, it usually costs money, but the link that Jared has shared in the bio gets you in as a viewer for free. And then you just watch the show via Zoom. And if you have anything you would like me to bring up tomorrow regarding Trump, I'm only talking about why I'm choosing Trump as my candidate. There'll be a whole group of Democrats saying why they're choosing theirs. We're using it as an opportunity. Your lighting is horrible, bro.
I
Open
know.
the window.
That's
You
the
were
way I
like
like it.
barely there. So if you are, it's just each of us individually talking about our candidate, and we're not fighting with each other. It's none of that. But reach out to me through the show or privately if you want me to bring anything up during this discussion, anything you think is relevant, things that you think Trump will be really well done at in the next 4 years as our president. Do it if you feel like reaching out. I have all my own list of things, but I also would like to represent the voters and serve them well. So to do that, I think I need to hear from them. And as many people as I was lucky enough to talk to on Wednesday, September 11th, where we did this event, I found a lot of people were not mad at Trump for the debate, but they did feel like there was 3 people debating, one being the media, because they were fact checking him and not her. And some of the stuff they said was just asinine, and it's been debunked since the debate. The fact that no state in the union allows babies to die after an abortion, that's absolutely untrue, including the vice president candidate under cackling Kamala. I mean, Tim Pool, he actually, there's posts all over that if a baby survives abortion, which it happens more times than people may realize, they don't offer medical care. They set the baby aside. And that's happening in the United States. I don't want this whole election to be about abortion. I follow what Trump said. He brought it back to the states for a reason. It should be as localized as possible. Jared and I agree very often that abortion should be an issue voted on as local as your city or county. I mean, for you to have a voice about it. But it is a polarizing situation. I think Trump would have done so much better if he didn't let her get to him and he talked directly to the American people. And he simply said this: how are you doing? How are you able to afford food, gas? What is crime like in your city? What are jobs like in your city? Are you better off today than you were under my presidency? Do you want your child going to a foreign war? Do you want more money spent on foreign wars, on illegal immigrants? Are you willing to risk your child being killed by fentanyl or trafficked? I mean, these are the things that Americans are dealing with right now. The fears, the realities. Who gives a crap, honestly, about what Kamala said she's going to do? She could do it right now. She could have done it 2 years ago. It's all talking points to get elected. And Bernie Sanders said the quiet part out loud, Jared, when they asked him, what do you think about her flip-flopping on fracking and no gun buybacks, mandatory gun buybacks? That was on her primary list when she ran last time. Now she's flip-flopped. She says she's a gun owner. You know what? I wish Trump would have asked her, really? What gun do you own? What make and model do you carry? Why do you own a gun? What do you need it for?
How funny would it have been if she'd have said, I lost them all in a boating accident?
Well, I mean, for her to say she's a gun owner, I'm curious to know, what kind of gun owner are you? And so when Bernie Sanders was asked about this flip-flopping, He said, well, of course she did. She needs to get elected.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, I'll give my unbiased views. And I want to just say, hey, Nephi, thanks for joining us. Yeah, we weren't on last week because out at work, because I work a real big boy job now. We had a crucial piece of equipment explode on us, and I essentially had a couple of long days while I assisted getting that going again. But anyways, so I want to say outright, just on the outlook, I think Kamala, you can tell she's been practicing up. She only had a couple moments where she did the chuckle burst out, and I don't think that they were at inopportune times. So I think Kamala did pretty well on her side. And yes, she lied, and ABC obviously was in the bag for her. But I'm just talking about just her personality came across, and she did goad Trump into being angry.
Yeah.
And I think that was a negative on his part. I would have. I think she comported herself in a very very well. Just the way she came across. I think she did rather well with that, and the polls are kind of showing that. It gave her a little bit of a boost, but we're still a ways away, and we'll see what happens.
So
I think Trump would have been better served tossing questions at her, or tossing up questions. Let her guide the path and then question what she guides. Like when she talked about leaving Afghanistan, the big argument about Afghanistan is the surplus equipment left behind. Especially, there's one thing that the United States has carried domination in warfare, and that's our ability to own the night. And I believe it's some thousands of night optical devices were left behind there.
$80 billion worth. $80 billion of war materials left there.
Well, I'm talking about the night vision goggles. Those are a highly controlled item when you're in the military. And I think that's one question that he should have just pressed on that. What do you think about our war fighters now having to face the enemy on an even playing field at night, and just let her stumble through that? What do you think about, and if she could come back and say, well, the tactical decisions on how we perform that leaving Afghanistan was left up to the generals. And then I would say, okay, what have you done to reprimand the generals for that? Or if she said, well, we didn't think it was that important, then you say, okay, what?
He said, who got fired? Who took accountability? Why am I black on the screen? Can you see me okay?
Yeah, I see you fine. Well, he didn't lead her into that beginning question of asking, look, because that's been our dominant thing. That's been the US's field against any military, against any adversary, has been, we own the night. Matter of fact, multiple of our special operations units, that's their motto.
Well, it belongs to the Middle East now. Any of that equipment is in Middle East. And here's the deal. They used it against Israelis. They'll probably use it against Americans. They're probably using it against Ukrainians and Russians. I mean, who knows where all that equipment went? And, 13 guys, women and men died.
They did.
And how many Americans and how many diplomats and refugees that we were supposed to take with us got left behind? I mean, this was the worst thing ever. And I think the debate, she got in his head, but he was supposed to drive home the fact that immigrants at this capacity, entering the way they're entering is dangerous for our society. And he did drill that home, because that is one topic that Republicans and Democrats agree, especially the Democrat city suffering. They're saying, whoa, 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 we need to do something about immigration. So him going to that often, I understand. But if he would have just showed a little, the humility he had at convention, for example, where he just looks to the people, ignores the press, ignores her next to him, and says, I know who you are. You are the middle class. You are suffering to pay your bills. You're one emergency away from losing your house, and you're in debt. And all of this could have been prevented by better policy. And then name his policies, because he hasn't changed. His talking points have been the same since the 1970s. Go back and look at Trump in the 70s, the 80s, the 90s, when he was still a Democrat. His policies were still the same. And yet Kamala's have flopped she didn't do anything for 50 days, not even an interview, let alone put policies out there.
Well, and
she flip-flopped on all of them.
Well, and let's say, just for argument's sake, that she has adopted new policies, and that she has decided that everything that she says that doesn't reflect the administration she's a part of right now. It's still, like, I want to ask her some things she said that sound nice on the front, like we're going to give $25,000 to first-time home buyers. That sounds beautiful on the onset, but that one, it doesn't take care of the root problem, where restrictions on building homes is what's killing us. And most of the time that's done on but most of the time the prices are high because there's a supply and demand influx. But most of the time, building homes is on a local level. That's not done on a national level. So that's not something within her control. And then you've got
restrictive control, like we're going to build low-income housing wherever we want. I mean, you let the federal government dictate where housing is going to be built, and no one gets $25,000 without strings. That money is taxpayer dollars.
Well, and then where does it come from? So the big argument is it doesn't solve the root of the problem, which is there's not enough homes being built. Now, my argument for that, of course, is you've got to lower regulations locally. Local regulations and costs to the developers, quite frankly, have to be lowered, so the developers will dive in, build starter homes, with 2-bedroom, 1-bath, 3-bedroom, 1-bath homes, because there's not any being built right now. None. And
it's because it costs way too much to get all the regulations, the property, all that stuff attached. Before you even break ground, our contractors are in the hole more than that house would be worth sometimes.
Well, and then the bank,
logical sense.
A bank's not going to give a loan when there's a 20% haircut right off the top, which would be if you tried building $150,000 home right now. When part of that building the home would be wrapping in the regulatory costs and the linking into municipalities costs, like 20 grand right off the bat, you're looking at a 18% haircut. The bank's not going to say that's a good deal. So the bank's not going to give the loan. So I don't know.
The policy doesn't make sense. Just like the policy for paying off student loans. It doesn't make sense. It's not free money. And the people who pay it are the middle class. And the middle class is shrinking, and we're going into poverty class, which is just.
Oh, I lost your voice. Holly? Can't hear you. Oh, there she went. Hey, it gets to be the Jared show for a minute. She'll probably jump back in. But yeah, she lives in the fanciest of fancy neighborhoods, and her internet is garbage. Okay. Peace be with you says, do you think that our leaders don't know what is going on because they are ignorant, or do they know and are just going along to get along? That is an outstanding question. Commonly, I find myself falling into a place where I envision malice in their actions. I do. But I've got to wonder, is this just a machine that is driving? Like, let's take the Obamacare, Affordable Care Act. Could that be shut off? Could it just be shut? Because, it's like if you get a train, Holly's back. If you get it, I'm responding to Peace Be With You. He says, do you think our leaders know what is going on because don't know what's going on because they are ignorant, or do you think they know and are just going along to get along? And I think it's like a train. You can't easily stop a train. So when these government policies and programs get put in place, they have a momentum, and to shut them off would cause a certain side of disaster and would have a lot of political fallout. But to keep them going has longer term political fallout. But let's say you're a president or a senator or a congressperson, to shut them off has the immediate fallout. Political fallout. Oh, we're getting some bleed over somewhere, and I'll figure out. But anyway, so that has the immediate issue where if you don't shut it off, that has a long-term issue. So you can be praised in the moment. Yes. You can be praised in the moment and not be vilified in the moment and just kind of eke through. Holly's internet is fantastic, folks. So I wonder if it's that, but it could be malice. It could be. I mean, I'm a huge tinfoil hat wearing guy, but I try to look at all sides. I don't know. That's a tough one. What do you think, Peace? What's your takeaway on that? I mean, what's your mind? You can hear me? Weston says maybe it doesn't make much of a difference either way, and that is 100%. It makes zero difference either way. Yes. We can hear you. Holly is dealing with audio issues.
Okay. I'm getting pissed off right now.
So she's trying to figure that.
Can you hear me at all?
Yes, we can hear you.
Stand by.
But yeah, you're right, Weston. It doesn't make a difference. Yes.
You can hear me? Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. To West Point. This is me off. Because, yeah.
Now we can.
Legislators know every Massey, folks. He is not.
What? She said Thomas Massey.
Can you hear me or not?
I'm just repeating, when you break up, you said Thomas Massey. Yes, but you're breaking up again.
Gosh. Okay.
Try jumping on your phone.
Okay. Invite me in.
Here we go. All right. She's coming in. Jumping on your phone.
I did. Invite me.
We're getting our butt kicks
out.
Me? Yes. We're getting our butt kicks out. You're upside down.
Sorry for this. This is insane.
So
this is insane. But I had to just get out of the internet and use my own. But I had to just get out of the internet.
Okay, I'm gonna mute her for just a second. She'll figure out she's upside down in a minute and she'll be mad. Anyways, Peace Be With You says, I'm with you. I don't like to think they are, but how can they not see it? And then he says, "We hear you and see you." And then he says, "All right, Holly, we're getting me back from you." All right, Holly, we're getting me back from you.
Okay, I just got to
And
turn
you're
you
upside
down.
down.
Okay. I'm upside down.
Yes.
This is quality television, folks. Am I
And now you're
sideways?
sideways. Okay, just hold it there. Don't move it.
Oh
Okay.
my gosh, this is such a joke. Can you hear me?
Yes. So yeah, peace. I agree. Yeah. And maybe some of them know and don't. And I'm sure. I'm just going to lay this out there.
Get rid of my other picture.
I can't. You have to shut it off.
Okay, how do I do that?
Yeah, just close out of it. There you go. Now, I think that Kamala
Can I finish
Harris.
my point?
Sure, finish your point.
I'm so sorry that my internet is crap. When I brought up Thomas Massey, this is what I bring him up for. Michael Lee is the same way. Celeste Malloy too. They know what is going on. They know exactly what is going on. And Thomas Massey said it perfectly this week. Wait for it, folks. Here comes the omnibus bill. Republicans love to fill the war chest. Democrats love to do this whole immigration thing. And we're going to have to do all this omnibus. And you guys change it every single year. You say something just a little different, but it all rings the same. Until we stop giving them this money, all these departments, this money, we are never going to get out of debt. We are never fully representing the people. And if we have a Trump presidency, Trump has to be on short a leash as every other candidate we're sending to DC, because we cannot fix anything until we start digesting or diving into and auditing every single department. Are they even needed? How much money can they work with? Let's cut 20% off the top of every department. You know, they're going to say, we got to rebuild the war chest. Trump is going to say that because he said it last time, because Obama had lost so much and got rid of so much. Is that the worst thing to rebuild? I don't know. We're on the doorstep of World War III right now. How much money are we willing to let them spend again in the name of whatever? But they all know what's going on, and I hold them all accountable. And I hold all Americans accountable for not getting rid of people that shouldn't be there.
I think we have three camps of voters. We have the voters that hear something that would benefit them, and so they vote that way. We have voters who perceive government spending as a net negative, and they vote a certain way, and then that party spends more than the other party. And then we have people who believe that excess spending is a cure, and they vote that way. I try not to view people, well, I have to not view people with opposing views to myself as evil, because let's face it, I'm kind of a weirdo radical. And if I viewed people with opposing views to me as evil, that's a whole lot of evil I'd be perceiving, because I'm as small a government person as it gets. I'm what Republicans say they are, except I truly believe it. But I also recognize the hazards of it. And I know that if we went with my path, there would be a collapse before midnight that day. I just recognized I don't think we can carry on this path.
I personally, I have no ill will towards those who vote Democrat in other parties, because I know they're my neighbors. I mean, they're legit my neighbors with differing views. But the difference that I see this time around that I didn't see last time is the financial suffering, that we're all in it together. And I'm wide open. I mean, my eyes got wide open in 2016 where the press was concerned, but they're wide open now that they're the fourth branch of government in this
The fourth
country.
estate.
And it's actually laughable for me that some of the things they say and do. But I see neighbors and I see people that I talk to, they'll believe anything they hear. And I'm stunned that we still have Americans that way. But I'm also not surprised that we have Americans who are exhausted with politics. So they're not listening to news. They're not following along. And I get that too. But not one person, we shouldn't demonize any of them. I mean, there's a reason Trump wanted RFK and Tulsi Gabbard on his campaign. And a lot of it is because they've put us all in boxes and we've tribalized everything. And you are in the outskirts thinking, well, I'm a real Republican. If Republicans were actually, lived by the platform, that would explain me. I'm his local government, like what you just said. There's such a wide array of Republicans. And now we've got infighting saying who's is Republican and who's a real Republican. And this is against our values. This is not. This infighting is exactly what the press wants. It's exactly what the opposing party wants. And in the world, I mean, we would love to see infighting with the Democrats, to be honest, but they're doing it quietly. I mean, they got rid of the presidential nominee like overnight and put in a candidate nobody voted for.
Do you think that
But they're still towing the line, and so is the media.
Do you think they're doing it quietly because they view Donald Trump as such a big threat? Because the media's got him there.
Right. And that's the thing. He is such a big threat. If he wasn't, they wouldn't have prosecuted him the way they did. No one, I mean, I'm not saying the Democrat Party had him shot, but our president was shot in the head at a campaign event. Well, and there's still so many cloudy details around that regarding the government agencies meant to protect him. We talk about all the things he's been charged with, just his impeachments for the same thing that Biden has done. If he wasn't a threat to them, they wouldn't spend this much time hating on him. 89% in left media is spent negatively bashing Donald Trump. 89%.
Yeah, we know this.
If Americans woke up, they would go, why do they hate this guy so bad? He's obviously a threat.
Let me ask you a question. Do you think that infighting in the Republican Party is bad?
Yes.
So how should that be? Let me dig in a little deeper on that.
Well, I need to also expand my answer.
Yeah, but I want to dig in some. Now, Celeste Malloy, I like Celeste. I'm open about that. I like the other guys that was running as well. But Celeste Malloy promised me that she would not vote for more illegal domestic spying, and then breached that promise, stating that she needs to suspend the I'm putting words in her mouth. That's not what she said. But
don't put words in her mouth.
She voted to suspend the Constitution so that she could strengthen Trump's ability when he gains back the office. And I wanted to say, I don't want him to have that ability either. Now, that is an infighting moment. Of course, I'm not a Republican, so that's not really infighting, but for a lot of people, that's an infighting moment. And that is, I don't see them as being angry enough to say she's out as infighting and negative.
Well, her race was very close, so close it needed a recount. She didn't get signatures, nor did she even try. Colby Jenkins was highly popular, and he's a great guy. And he started with signatures. And I think he realized it was such a big feat. He was going to go, and he changed his mind. Both of them are new to the House. She was a freshman House voter. Not to say she was new to the House as a worker. She worked there under Chris Stewart, but I think that the reality is the simple answer. Well, we had to suspend the Constitution to do this for Trump. I don't think it was that simple. I think you're simplifying it, but essentially, we put it in a big word. There's no FBI, there's no CIA in our Constitution, period. So if we're going to talk about stepping back on what their rights are under the Patriot Act, we have to go with someone like the Senator, Mike Lee, and say, how on earth are these people even allowed to exist? These departments, Department of Education, the IRS, the FBI, the CIA, how do these ATF, how are these departments even allowed to exist? They're not allowed in the Constitution. So that's a bigger fight than what Congress was having last year when Celeste made that vote. And you heard Jim Jordan. He supported that vote. We also know Mike Lee threatened to campaign against her if she voted for that. She knew she had a lot on the line. Here's the thing. When I say infighting is not good for the party, for me, the timing of the infighting is not good for the party.
Then when do you infight?
Win.
You've got to infight when it matters. You can't infight after the fact, after your liberties are stripped from you. That's not the time to argue for them.
We have had a primary, and the voters have given us our candidates. And albeit they were close races, but we have had a recount. We know who our candidates are. When you start infighting 2 months before an election that the state of Utah voter has given us our primary, right? They gave us our candidates. No, not everyone was elected that I wanted to be. But my voters told me who they wanted, and that is who we need to get behind and support if we really believe in our republic. They gave us our nominees. The fighting in the in-party now is taking away from what we could be using that time and energy to get down ticket our people elected. Here's where we're different, though. I always agree that Republicans, and I've told you this on the show many a time, we don't fall in line. We are a party of free thinkers. We believe in individual liberties and individual accountability, which means we sit down in the SEC meeting I went to last week, and we battle for 2 hours before we even approve the agenda. These type of things is what makes our party great, but also what hurts us as a party. Democrats, as you have seen, as you have witnessed, not one Democrat voter even voted for Kamala to be their nominee, but they fell in line when she was chosen.
Not all of them. I think we had
a
majority, but
she got every single delegate met at that convention. Nobody stood up and said, no, I'm not voting for her. Give me options. She didn't win the primary. They fell in line at convention. We did our nomination early on, and we fell in line behind our candidate as a whole as well. Had Trump not won that nomination, had Utah picked Nikki Haley, the Utah delegates would have been there with Nikki Haley, and we would have had a convention with candidates. But no, Utah picked, every state picked Donald Trump in the primary.
The big question is, do you think the Democrats planned their timeline like this? Because they planned it just about perfect. A lot of people were expecting they were going to do this. They just didn't expect they would elevate Kamala. They expected that they would push in Newsom or Buttigieg.
Hey, Jared, go back to our show the week before the debate. I said it then. They're doing a debate before they're even having convention, before they even have a nominee. This was to either set up Joe Biden or to verify that he can run again.
Maybe to show their people. Maybe to show their people he couldn't run. Exactly. We do have some.
The campaign rules alone were all by the Biden campaign. Mute Donald Trump. Why would you want to mute Donald Trump? That would only help a Democrat to have him unmuted.
Yeah.
Why?
Yeah, because
No,
Donald Trump is.
Yeah, he would destroy himself. No notes. They get him trained. They were setting him up because they had the plan to replace him. They didn't Article 25 him. Why not? Vice President Kamala Harris would be the president of the United States right now. Why not
Here's the
Article 25?
question.
They had a deal with him.
Who is the president of the United States right now?
It's the deep state. I mean, whoever's running Kamala, I mean, the same person running Biden is going to run Kamala.
But that's the question. Who is? Who is?
Well, we know it's not the Obamas because they didn't want Kamala. I mean, there's enough reports out there. They had a guy in mind.
Do you think Biden gave him one last poke in the eye by the next day coming out and throwing her name in the hat? I don't know. That's a thought I love to entertain. But we got a few comments.
Biden would have absolutely. I think Biden went kicking and screaming, and if not him, then his wife and his son said, "You are not removing our father. We'll step down, but you do not Article 25 him."
That might be, yeah. I would love to see. I wonder what the history books in the future will say. But we got a few comments. O'Malley's.
He's got to have time to do that, and himself, if charges get brought to again.
Well, and also that gives him an opportunity to let his son off the hook on his way out in a few months. But O'Malley May says the infighting is justified. That's what happens when you have corruption. These Republicans don't represent me. Cox, Curtis, Malloy, et cetera, et cetera. And you've got to honor someone who says these people do not represent my values, my wants, my needs. Seth says,
then these are the people that we as delegates were representing, and they voted against us. So we don't represent their beliefs. And that's our job as delegates.
She's also a delegate.
Right. And I'm telling you, I'm a delegate. And the people of Utah voted against what me as a delegate voted for. And when I knocked on doors for the primary, they told me straight to my face, I do not agree with your choice for governor. And I do not agree with your choice for senator. And I'm like, oh, okay. And they proved it to me.
How does the party get more diversity in delegates then? But
we need to make more people understand how caucus works. We need to make caucus an event that is basically, in my opinion, we do it for a week, a week of tiny events that lead up to a huge, basically a neighborhood block party style, where we get everyone in the neighborhood who is a registered Republican that's excited to participate. And we have a Zoom option for those who.
We lost her again. Holly. She's gonna. Yep. All right. Holly will be back again. Seth Stewart says, if you can't disagree with your party, then you don't have a republic. And yeah, I agree. I think the republic, we put too much emphasis on our national politics. Everyone shows up to vote for president, but we don't have enough people showing up to say, what's my county doing? What is my state doing? What is my city doing? And I think that's the root of where we lost the republic. It's the Super Bowl, when the high school team is much more important. Those are the kids in your neighborhood, but everyone is concerned with the Super Bowl. Holly's back again, guys. And she's gone again, guys.
Hey, this platform,
Is she back?
we need to go back. We need to do Zoom or something. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. I can't see you though.
This platform is garbage. We need to do Zoom, Jared. I have no this. It's not staying on. If anything alerts me on my email or if someone calls me, it kicks me.
You have to shut off all your alerts if you're going to use a computer for streaming.
I'm not on a computer. I'm on a cell phone.
Yeah, you can go in and shut off your alerts.
Why is my camera not working now? This is just garbage. I'm going to try again. But
Okay.
I do want to make it clear, infighting is a necessity to party business. But we as Republicans do not agree. And the primary vote that was done in July gave us our nominees, regardless of what the delegates chose. Now, true, delegates work harder, invest more time, give more attention, and work one-on-one with these candidates. But do they go back to all the people from their caucus and all their neighbors and share with them what they learned? That is not easy to do. I know because I did it, and it is not easy to do. And what I found is no matter how much information I gave these folks about why I chose the people I chose, they had already made a decision. And a lot of it's based on the advertising and the little snippets that go out from certain candidates. And Cox won my county. He won it. I would be crazy to turn on our governor when my voters chose him.
I'm not disagreeing.
Even though our delegates did not choose him. Well, our delegates were about 50-50 where he's concerned, which means something to me. But I highly suggest anybody who's got a problem with the way the party works should run to serve in party leadership in their county. Run for a seat where you represent delegates and you're a party chair, because you understand real fast that just because you've done the research and you know who's right and who's wrong, you represent everybody, not just delegates. You represent every voter. And that gets a little mucky when you get to see what primary results are. We can fight SB 54 all day long. That's what we're infighting right now.
I heard that was
10 years.
I heard that was proposed to be put on. I don't know. Someone sent me something, and I've got to read into it more. But that went through, and they're going to look at putting that on the floor to repeal.
We fought it in the SEC. We've been fighting it in the SEC for 10 years. And what people don't remember is 10 years ago, when Count My Vote came to the SEC, they wanted to make a 70% margin. So if you won at 70% at convention, you were get to go on the ballot. They disagreed. SEC voted it down. So Count My Vote did a compromise and said 66%. And we'll drop our initiative. The SEC voted it down. And so they went on with their initiative, and that is how we got the dual path. They had enough votes to completely eliminate caucus. So Kurt Bramble and Dan McKay made this deal, this compromise with them that said, hey, don't eliminate caucus. We'll do a dual path. This is what people don't understand. The party itself, once they did create the dual path under James Evans, he fought this all the way to the Supreme Court. Our party nearly got bankrupt fighting this, and we lost in the Supreme Court. We lost. So this last SEC meeting, we put another resolution out encouraging Dan McKay, who was an original sponsor, to repeal SB 54 again before session. Mind you, there was a battle because there was a girl Tracy Halverson, who had filed intent to sue the SEC. That's me included. And she wanted to speak at our meeting. Our meetings are public for Republicans, but doesn't mean they get to speak. She was asked to leave and police were involved. And now to ask her to leave. The reason I think the party wanted her to leave is because why would we invite someone to attend our meeting if we're going to be involved in a lawsuit and could incriminate ourselves in said lawsuit with her there recording? And it is another reason why it took so long just to approve the agenda. The SEC isn't powerless, but we're not all powerful. All we can do is suggest to our electeds what to do. And we have pushed so many electives out, they don't show up to the meetings at the SEC. They're not treated well, not even respectfully. And so, yes, I think we need to get rid of SB 54, but we have to understand that that initiative, there is enough money behind that initiative to convince every Utahn that doesn't spend their time in politics that their vote isn't being heard because delegates are ignoring their vote and voting their own way. And we risk losing caucus convention 1000% if we end SB 54. So just know that. And yes, I am with that, with the preamble that until we get our caucus convention system so great and every single person can attend, every single person can show up or at least show up online, until we can make it so that every single person has their voice heard at caucus, we still have a lot of work to do. That's what it has to be made clear. And delegates don't understand maybe the ins and outs of what went through with SB 54, but I've been around long enough to see the fight. And I'm telling you what, the party was almost bankrupt over it. I don't want us to go bankrupt fighting for what should be. We're a private party. We should absolutely have the right to run our primaries and run our candidates how we see fit. The Supreme Court of Utah disagreed. We have been fighting it. Our party chairs fight it every time.
I'm not a fan of parties, political parties. I like dance parties, but I do one day, not today, one day I'd like to dig into the private party. I feel like our nation's been captured by two parties, and those two parties have us bent over an arcade machine, and it's not going well for us. But anyways, we've got to get through some more comments. Seth says, if you can't disagree with your party, then you don't have a republic. Yeah, we don't want a uniparty state, that is for sure. Or we don't want to have party control. We definitely don't want that. That means you have no change and you keep rushing headlong into hazard. Molly May says there never should have been a primary for the governor's seat or the Senate seat. You think that doesn't piss us off? You expect loyalty after that. And I think she agrees with you. But I don't know if she has a choice on that. I don't know if even the party has a choice on that, where they're just following law. And that law, as corrupt as it is a law that we need to figure out how to repeal. And I agree that it needs to be repealed. But I also agree that, and this isn't knocking the delegates, but I would like to see the delegates need to fight and earn more communication with their local people. Why am I losing my train of thought? They've got to get that communication. That way the delegates can represent their neighborhood, can represent their caucus better. Or how about the latest election interference allegations? Will that even be looked into? Did the Cox campaign bribe a mother and her son to run since they have the last name Lyman? And that is interesting. I saw stuff about that, and I hope someone looks into that. And here's the truth. I think that needs to be looked into by just regular citizens. We can't expect the government to spearhead that, not in these circumstances, or it would be nice, but we can't expect them to. That has to be looked into and dug into, by us, by we the people, and then brought forth, as it is. Seth says national parties are a new thing. Utah and other states were coerced into adopting national parties as a prerequisite to being granted statehood. Primaries were glued onto caucus convention as a part of the progressive movement. General elections are new too. Both are popular vote systems. If you want to sabotage a republic, you glue a democracy onto it. They have multiple shots at taking out the voice of the republic in every election cycle. That's good. And then he has a link. I'll try to pull this link and share it on our page. He says SB 54 is like every communist drug. You can't put the genie back in the bottle without looking like a meanie. Perhaps the best we can do is educate the public, but there have been miraculous victories already. Yes, Seth, 100%. And that's like every law that comes down from government. It is a drug. It's a thing that people become, like right now, Social Security, we could not shut it off without having something to fall back on, or it would have disastrous economic repercussions with elderly, just all of that. The only people that win in that is, funeral directors. Jessica says, hi, Jared. Hi, Jessica. I haven't seen you or heard from you in a long time. I hope things are well. And I hope everything is great with you and your children. Seth says caucus was originally nonpartisan, and maybe that's the way it would be. It would function better to go back to that, is have nonpartisan caucusing and bring the people together to vote as a block, and then that vote walks through. Mally May says Lyman had 67.5% of the vote. Cox shouldn't have been allowed, even if he did have the signatures. Ooh. I it's a tough one. I agree with you. I don't like the signature route, but I also want to see the delegates get into greater communication with the people that they represent. We held a voter education night in 2016. We had no idea what caucus was before, so we read up on it and shared with others what we learned. Most people still do not know what it is due to non-participation. The Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints has been urging members to get involved. One thing I love about the caucus is when we do vote for people to represent us, that we actually know and we actually converse and change minds. That's good. Let's see. Holly's asking if I can see her. Oh, she's back. She's yelling at me.
Dude, I've been here for like the last 10 minutes. Okay. To go over, Lyman had 67.5% of the vote. Yes, at convention he did. He did. That's 4,000 people out of 3 million in this state.
Well, hold on. Now, what is the law as far as SB 54 if someone gathers signatures versus caucus? There's a percentage they have to get to defeat the signature gathering. What is that?
If someone gathers the signatures, they're automatically on the ballot for the primary. If
really?
someone gets, yes. Now keep in mind those signatures are in sometimes 100,000.
What if someone in their caucus, so the caucus doesn't affect the primary then?
Not if they gathered signatures. If they went convention only, then they need 60% to get on the ballot.
Okay,
if
that's where I was
couldn't
confused.
Get it down to 60%, we could send 2 to the ballot, which is how we got a primary last time, which is how Cox was elected in the first place. We had 4 make it to the ballot. John Huntsman, Cox, Hughes, Greg Hughes, and the fourth, and I don't remember who it was, but it was, and then Cox won by 36%, I think, and it was just a hair over John Huntsman. That's also what we don't want, because it splits the vote so badly that our governor is chosen in a primary with such a small amount of a vote. But once it hits the primary, it's whoever gets the most votes wins.
Mm.
So Lyman did win at convention, and he won handedly. And 4,000 people wanted him to be the next governor. And the state party and our county party touted him as the candidate, the convention nominee, and all the backing from the state and our county went to our convention nominee. We were able to do that, and we did that. But it didn't matter. People chose Governor Cox in the primary, regardless of those of us who knocked on doors, explained that Lyman was better. So now Cox is being accused of having this Lyman family run against him in the write-in.
Well, hold on now. We're really short on time. I want to get through these comments before. So that's something I think you and I can dig into on another show.
I would love to, because I would love to focus on this 2024 election that's coming up.
Yeah.
That is dire for this country.
Yeah, I agree.
Hi, Mom.
Adam says, totally planned. Ortiz going back to the Democrats, whether they had planned this latest maneuver. Totally planned. Pushing a Newsom or any other white male candidate would have alienated the squad segment. It would have never flown. I agree. That's an interesting thought to look at it that way. I just thought I like to entertain the thought that maybe Joe Biden was mad that the Obamas and the Clintons pushed him out, so he did that as a poke in the eye. I just like that, thinking that this old man, has one little kick to deliver on his way out. Kick him in the shin. He also says, who is POTUS? It's a group in Washington, D.C. called West Execs. That's who staffed the Obama administration and the Biden administration. And
it's all unelected bureaucrats.
That's interesting. Well, that is true. I mean, there's democracy dead for all you Democrats.
We're not a democracy, but right.
I know this, but I'm stating this for them. I'm not stating this against you. We've had this conversation.
I'm in the habit of saying it every time I hear it.
Sure.
I even hear Republicans use that word.
Actually, in a way, we are a democracy. Republics carry the most important democracy.
And which the caucus convention is the actual form of a republic.
If we're a republic, going back pre-Lincoln, a republic, the ultimate democracy is the foot democracy. If you don't like where you live, move to another state where you do. That's the ultimate democracy. It's finding your freedom. Peace be with you says, when has the MSN ever televised a Trump rally? Why would they all of a sudden on July 13th decide to televise his rally? They were in on it. That's interesting. And you would think just them, with all the money they've lost this year, that they would want him in there, because they went gangbusters. I mean, they all bought yachts and Porsches and Lamborghinis. Peace be with you says, you're right about getting involved locally. I just didn't know where to start. Yeah, get involved, vote locally, talk to your local people. I mean, this is the local people are people you run into at your local grocery store or at the car wash.
Peace Be With You from?
I don't know. It's Peace Be With You is coming through on YouTube.
Okay, Peace Be With You. Reach out, or at least tell us where you're from, and then I'll see if I can help you get to know where you get involved at.
Yeah. Adam, and this will be the last from YouTube. Adam says the party needs a mechanism for precinct chairs, delegates, and voters to communicate. When the new chair is elected, they have no built-in way for them to communicate with the people in their precinct. All right, I'm going to throw an idea out. Facebook is free. Well, it's not free. It's costing us our souls.
We tell every precinct chair to start a Facebook page.
Start a Facebook page or group. I would suggest a group. Make it a private group. That way only people in your precinct get involved. And then you can have group communications. People can try to ply their wares. We're going to go back to that soul sucking thing now.
I have to add something though. Our caucus convention turnout last year was not something that we would be very proud of. Though we had a lot of people show up, very little showed up like they did in 2016 or previous years when Obama was running. So I know that a lot of people are saying, okay, 4,000 delegates, but they were chosen by their neighbors. Absolutely. Some of their neighbor precincts were 6 people.
Yeah.
It's not until we get caucus down to a science and to make it something where people don't want to miss it because they want to have these political discussions and they want to engage. I mean, and at caucus, a lot of people don't know even who the candidates are yet because filing is right before. So how do you educate people on the right candidate? You've got to talk about values and principles and what you want in a candidate. And if you decide, hey, I don't want the governor reelected, get in touch with me of who's running against him so I can get to know him better. I mean, that's what you and I did, Jared. In December, we started doing this.
That's also another thing.
Educate people.
If you start a precinct group, and that's the word I was looking for earlier, then the precinct group as a group can reach out to the different people running, or the precinct groups can do joint meetings where all the groups sign on and people who are in the precinct can get on there. And it's also something you don't have to show up in person, but
delegates could go live on Facebook.
Yeah.
During their meetings.
You could do a lot of stuff. Okay. O'Malley May says, no man, nerp. Sherry, hi Sherry, how are you? We miss you too. We do need to have another get together where we go visit Grandma Jane. Seth says way more than 4K people want Lyman. They voted for their delegates and their delegates chose Lyman. But
I didn't even see that comment, but I guess I kind of just covered that. Our caucus convention didn't have, in fact, we're looking at a court case where there was actual nefarious actions that happened at that primary slash the presidential primary slash caucus, where there were bad actors who infiltrated the system and tried to ruin caucus. And precinct chairs like myself and secretaries that I had and other party chairs with their secretaries, we did have a backup plan, which we put in place so that you could register and be a part of your caucus, even without the electronic side. But a lot of people walked away from there and didn't attend or vote. And we had the presidential primary there. And what's sad is a lot of people left after that primary. And so, again, some of our precincts had 10 people. How many was in your dad's precinct, Jared?
Total of, I think it's like 11 or 12.
11 or 12. His dad's precinct is large and has a lot of voters in it.
Well, and it's all Republican where he lives. Even the left wingers are Republican where my dad lives.
11 or 12.
It was
chose 2 delegates out of there that would be state delegates out of 12 people to represent. I think we have a 5,000 per precinct. 3,500 to 5,000 makes up a precinct.
But another hard part is when I was there, I saw like there were 2 people there who wanted Nikki Haley.
Yeah.
And
my precinct, it was 14 out of 30.
And so when you look at something like that, those are also people that when they go to caucus or when they go to the primary, when the primary vote happens, they may vote different. So that's also a point where start a Facebook group, get involved, get the message out, convince each other, talk to each other, have that open debate. And this is all stuff that can be recorded and people can look at later. Norma says, yikes, head trauma is the proper name for politics. Norma, you are a gajillion % spot on with that. Politics is
now
awful.
You know why we call the show this.
It's nasty. Politics are rough. Seth says, in a republic, we vote for people we actually know and whom we trust to be wise and have integrity. In a democracy, people vote based on name recognition, popularity, and money. And you also forget, de Tocqueville explained it best. He said this republic will last until people learn that they can vote to take from their neighbors. And that's where we are at. People vote for vengeance. They vote to take other people's stuff. That's where
Emotional
we are.
voting. And if we were a democracy, you guys would be making votes every single day and on the smallest of things. So yes, as a republic, we vote for people that we trust to represent our voice. There's a disconnect in the nation right now because we're sending these people to DC and they're ignoring us. They forget who they work for. And with that bothers me. And I think that, you know, I was a big fan of Trent Staggs. He was our nominee. I think he was a phenomenal person. I think we should never see the end of him. I'd like to see him run for something in the future. And when he lost to John Curtis, I know many of you out there who were diehard John Curtis fans, who were afraid to talk to me about it because you knew as a party leader that I was backing Trent Staggs unapologetically once we had our convention. So when he lost, I mean, he didn't have the money that John Curtis had, but to work with John Curtis now, and I got to sit down in Milwaukee with both gentlemen as they spoke to each other. And Trent was awesome. And he said, look, this is the issues that are important to me and the people I talk to on the campaign trail. Can you please handle these issues, keep these promises? And John Curtis said, I will absolutely do what you need. And I will be a voice for you. Do I want Trent to go away? Absolutely not. He went to Milwaukee just like the rest of us. Trump endorsed him. It didn't help Trump to endorse someone that didn't win, but also there was not a lot of financial backing for Trump. Money matters, people. Caucus is the only way to get your name on a ballot if you do not have a ton of money backing you. We have to preserve that because you can buy your way on a ballot in Utah with signatures.
Sounds like we need to repeal SB 54 then.
We do, but we have to have a better plan because uneducated voters are people who only tune in during elections. And I don't mean any disrespect about that. Politics is not everybody's cup of tea. But for those voters who are not as informed, Count My Vote is ready with millions of dollars to advertise to those people.
Oh, yeah. They trapped you the first time around. Okay, we've got two more comments and then we got to close this down because I need to take my honey to dinner. It's my first night off in 9 days where I can take her to dinner, just her and I. O'Malley May says the caucus is useless now, and you'll notice the candidates that won via signature didn't bother to show up for any meet and greets, and I can see why. They don't need to, and they know it. All they need is money, a name
not in our
people
county
recognize, and an R next to their name. Okay.
In our county, and even on this show, we had every one of those candidates on our show. And in the county, we had meet and greets for our delegates for all of those candidates. Nobody did not show up, only one, and that was Governor Cox. But Deidre came in his place.
Okay. Seth says, when did we get stuck with a two-party system? 1804. With the 12th Amendment. This guaranteed the demise of the Republic. Because of that phenomenon you described, where you are seen as infighting with your party if you disagree with them on one thing. The marketplace of ideas is much leaner with a two-party system. This is why 40 to 60% of registered voters do not vote. They are already disenfranchised because individual thought is frowned upon. We lost the Republic due to one innocent seeming change to a very simple math formula.
Bravo, Seth. Now, in Twilla County, our voter turnout rate is 90%, which is huge for our registered voters. I don't know what it is statewide, but I know that's what it is in Twilla County. Curtis was on our show, O'Malley. Wilson and Cox. Yeah,
Curtis wasn't on our show.
John Curtis? Yeah, he was on our show.
No, he was not. No, he was not.
Well, then we had him booked and it changed. But he was.
No, I reached out to him multiple times. We never got a word back from him.
He was at the Chamber of Commerce, and you can ask Sherry because she can verify because she got to meet him that night. He was
Yeah,
supposed to
at the
be on our
Chamber of
show,
Commerce, but he didn't. He
but
didn't meet
maybe
with
he
us.
didn't. He was supposed to be on our show. Let me say
No.
that.
Well, everyone's supposed to be on a show. Come on, we need to be the kingmakers.
Yeah.
Anyways,
But
everyone.
Curtis did come out, and who's Wilson? Remind me.
Wilson was. I'd have to look it up. I remember. I remember. I think we chatted with Wilson. But anyways.
No meet and greet, Holly. Who are you talking about? John Curtis did a meet and greet. My mother was at it.
Well, she's probably talking about where.
Oh, Brad Wilson. Brad Wilson did a meet and greet out here also. Brad Wilson was on our show.
She's probably talking about where she is. Meet and greet her. Seth said Curtis told him he didn't know any Utahns who are concerned about illegals driving up housing costs, but I disagree. Yeah, they will be just a more influx of people and no new housing's being built. That's just a supply and demand. I mean, it's going to throw it out of flux. Anyways, everyone, I got to go. Thank you for joining us so very much. I know that it gets spicy or whatever, but I want to say this to all the listeners and viewers. I appreciate all of you joining us. I appreciate the chance for me to talk my crazy notions about the ability for maybe this nation to survive or whatever else. I mean, the rate we're going, I should do like a survival podcast, like how do you tan hide and stuff. But anyways, I appreciate that. I appreciate the chance to hang out with Holly. Next week, we're probably going to have a Democrat on as an interviewee. Next week, we'll do the full 2-hour show. And that
I would like to just say something if you're done.
I was almost done, but
okay,
go ahead.
No,
I just want to say I appreciate you guys. I appreciate all the feedback. And I love the differing views, even, not just between Republicans and Democrats, but even within their own parties. I think without this struggle, you're not going to hone a good knife. And that's just the way I see it. Anyways, that's it.
Okay. And I have to add on to that. There is no such thing as a perfect Republican. I love the discussions, especially when they stay respectful.
Well,
I love the discussions about candidates and the infighting. Yes, we don't have party without it. And we are not a party that is going to sit back and be told. That's what I love about our party, to not toe the line. Now, some of us have more responsibility party-wise than others, but all of you, even those of you that have signed signatures instead of running for delegate or going to your caucus, your voice matters. And we need our voices to matter and our elections to be run and secure. And any battle we need to have, I'm fully prepared to have it. I think that we have to get our country on track first. And we are going down a track that we cannot afford. None of us, regardless of party. And I welcome Democrats. I'm excited to have an interview. I hope that you will follow the link in the bio and go tune in to Braver Angels tomorrow and watch the differing parties and their reasons for why they're voting the way they're voting. They're three different. I wish that we had a third party candidate that was excellent. I am a Republican because it's the party that has the closest meaning to my values and principles. The platform represents my values the most. However, I'm probably a libertarian at heart, and I think that we do need more options as far as party goes. And I hate all of this chaos we're going through right now, but I appreciate that people are passionate and emotional, and I just want people to sit back and just think for a second. How do we fix this? How do we win now? And then we fix this. We bring this to our legislatures. That's how it's supposed to work. Jared and I love doing this. And I apologize that we were not on last week, and our consistency will get better. But we both are experiencing the same things you guys are. It's not easy right now for anybody in this country, especially the middle class. And we ask you for your support. We ask you to tune in and to comment, and we appreciate every comment, whether you agree with us or not. We love every comment and we love all the interactions. So thank you very much. And I hope you'll tune in tomorrow for Braver Angels and get some insight on why people are voting for Kamala. I'm very curious what they're going to say.
I like that Seth brought all this information. I'm going to dig into those and as long as he didn't share like a secret ninja porno site, I will share it onto our page. You guys can go there and enjoy it, or just click on it right from the comment section here. And Seth, of course, I don't recall seeing him a lot on here, but he brought
nice
some
to
good
see you,
stuff.
Seth. Thank
He
you for
brought
your
some
input.
Yeah, his historical stuff is outstanding. Of course, O'Malley May, Norma, your mom, of course, and then and then Adam and peace be with you. I think it's outstanding to chat with people and have fun.
And as a
Everyone,
party chair, I can't tell you. As a party chair, I don't recommend writing in a candidate. As a Republican, I say that is between you and your ballot. It is nobody's business. You do you, boo. Because at the end of the day, that's what voting is. It is personal. It is private. It is up to you what represents your values. And I would never tell someone not to vote for their values when it comes to the election. I just hate to risk having a Brian King for governor, which we could very well have. If our party is fractured, Brian King wins.
can we get Brian King on? I don't even know who this individual is.
Phil Lyman knows him well. They just did a spot together on a commercial. So I'm sure that I could reach out to Phil Lyman's camp and see if they can get in. I know nothing of Brian King's camp, but I do know that there are Republicans out there that do have that information.
Well, yeah, reach out to him, see who he is. Yeah. Everybody have a good weekend. Be safe. We'll be back next Friday. I am going to teach Holly how to fire up and run this system so that if I am stuck out at work turning a wrench, she can turn it on and have a joyful conversation with you all.
Well, I certainly won't bring guests in on this system. I'm going to bring guests in on Zoom or something.
That's fine. We could do it that way too. I could have probably fired up Zoom and ran it through OBS, but everyone have a good night and we will see you guys later.
Give my best to Katie and have fun tonight.
I will. Bye-bye.